Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
So Star Wars Celebration just wrapped up for 2023 over the weekend. And of course, there were tons of amazing and awesome Star Wars announcements regarding both Disney Plus series and also for theatrical releases and for when Star Wars is going to return to theaters. However, I think the biggest and honestly to a point most underlooked thing from all the different showcases and panels and announcements from Star Wars Celebration was that the next episode of The Mandalorian Season 3 Episode 7 was actually exclusively shown early to attendees. And that being said, people saw it. People talked about it online, leaking and spoiling a couple of different snippets and things that they saw throughout that episode. And also from what I have personally been hearing is that I've been hearing both sides of things. People have either been seeing clips and snippets from the actual episode itself, or people have downright saw the entire 50-minute episode. So a bit of both for what we can and would be seeing in the next episode of The Mandalorian. That there is exactly what we are going to be discussing in this video. This video does contain spoilers for the next episode of The Mandalorian into the regards of everything that we know and have seen, or people have seen, with this episode. So if you aren't looking for any spoilers going into the next episode of The Mandalorian, go ahead, click off the video now. We had plenty more to talk about and discuss in our preview video for this upcoming episode of The Mandalorian, and there's so many other Star Wars news out there as well that we're discussing here on the channel. And for those of you that might be wondering, why am I talking about Star Wars spoilers and spoilers for the next episode of The Mandalorian? Why not just wait for when the episode actually does come out? My simple response to that is that it's fun and it is kind of exciting to look into this type of stuff. And everybody else is just about talking about it at this point, so without further ado, I've kind of dragged this out long enough. This video we're going to be taking a read from the Direct's article. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. As I read, new footage from the upcoming episode of the Disney Plus's The Mandalorian Season 3 features mentions of Star Wars Rebels villain Grand Admiral Thrawn. Thrawn's live-action premiere has been a long time coming, with the fan-favorite character seemingly set to be a large part of the upcoming Ahsoka series. I have an entire video discussing and talking about everything that we know with Lars Mikkelsen's live-action Thrawn coming to the Ahsoka show later this year here on the channel as well, so check that video out as well. He has not been mentioned, however, quite yet into relation of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. There has been talk of secrets to keep for the ongoing third batch of episodes for The Mandalorian, but nothing exactly Thrawn specific has been referenced up until maybe now. New footage from the upcoming 7th episode of Season 3 of The Mandalorian has been revealed exclusively during Lucasfilm's Friday panel at Star Wars Celebration this past weekend, at which the Direct was in attendance, which is the our article that we're taking a read here from. This first 7 minutes of The Mandalorian Chapter 23, Episode 7, featured lots of striking details, including multiple mentions of fan-favorite villain Thrawn. Finally, the opening of the episode saw Katie O'Brien's Elia Kane on Coruscant, receiving a hologram from Giancarlo Esposito's Moff Gideon. This here was coming from some type of Imperial probe droid as well. Now, Elia Kane tells Moff Gideon how the pirates, seen earlier in the season, were throttled away by Bo-Katan, Din Djarin, and the rest of the Mandalorians. Cutting to Gideon, he hangs up and proceeds down a corridor, walking past a number of stormtroopers that closely resemble the Phase 2 clone troopers from the prequel trilogy. And so while doing this, the audience receives a glimpse of what looks to be vats or tubes similar to those seen in Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Those same tubes and cloning facility type of experimental tubes there essentially for cloning that Snoke and Palpatine could be inside of. And from here, Giancarlo Esposito's Star Wars Big Bad, Moff Gideon, arrives in what is called the Shadow Council, a series of holograms of other Imperial warlords. And so get this, a part of that Shadow Council, the father of General Hux from the sequel trilogy and Grand Admiral Thrawn's second-in-command, Gilad Pellaeon from the comics, are among the group. Gideon opens the conversation by simply criticizing them for waiting for Thrawn's grand plan. The Chiss Admiral, Thrawn, is noticeably absent, however, a part of this meeting, and they seem to be waiting for him to get started. Gideon says that Pellaeon and Commander Hux have been hogging most of the Council's resources for themselves, with Hux being mostly focused on cloning work. Moff Gideon notes that they have to deal with the Mandalorians. The Moff requests 3 Praetorian guards, TIE bombers, and TIE interceptors to take care of the Mandalorian threat. And so apparently Gideon is wearing a hat that he throws into the ring of this like hologram council to assume leadership over the council, seemingly almost in a way challenging over Thrawn's leadership. The rest of the group agrees with this move before Gideon leads a collective chant, "Long live the Empire." And oh man, so that there's everything like that. The article reads about like from what the some of the exclusive footage and snippets and clips they're shown at Star Wars Celebration exclusively. That gives me absolute chills. Oh my goodness! Long live the Empire, Moff Gideon, General Hux that we see in the sequel trilogy, his father appearing here and being a part of the Imperial remnants here and working with Moff Gideon, one of Thrawn's second in command there as well. I already have a theory about that. Just kind of like, and this is like my initial reaction. This is my first time actually reading over this and seeing this here as well. We are for sure going to see Thrawn's second in command like snitch and get in contact with Thrawn and tell him about like, oh, Gideon's trying to take over our little leadership thing here and take over the what's left of the Empire apparently, just so he can deal with some Mandalorians in a way. But then kind of seeing like how this like whole tunnel kind of works in a way, how this whole like trickle down effect kind of works. And you have Elliot Kane's character telling Moff Gideon about the Mandalorians, what they've been doing, what they've kind of been up to here, and in a way it feels like a little bit of a stretch. But then again, like as I just mentioned, this is like my first initial time reading this, my first initial reaction and thoughts here to it as well. I'm not exactly sure on like what they actually showed there and like how those clips actually like played out and panned out and everything like that. That's just kind of like a description essentially of what that footage there at Star Wars Celebration exclusively had shown there. On my level of things though, however, I don't really feel like the Mandalorians have posed all that much of a threat to what's left of the Empire. I definitely think that Gideon is salty over Din Djarin and Bo-Katan to a point. They stole his ship, it took his darksaber, and then they locked him up. So he of course has his personal reasons. It's not just business, it is personal to want to deal with these Mandalorians here. And just telling from this here's apparently like the opening of the episode as well from the description, so there's a whole nother like 50 minutes that's going on here throughout the rest of the episode. We talked about more about like some of my different other fan theories and speculations and everything that we also know here about this episode in our preview video, and also into the regards of the 50-minute long runtime here for this episode in a separate video here on the channel as well. But I think the main takeaway, the main thing here with this overall is that this is kind of like our first play with Thrawn in the Mandoverse here to a point, except for when Ahsoka mentions him in Season 2, asking where he would be, and then also with the Ahsoka trailer kind of showcasing a little bit about him, and then also with his official announcement and confirmation of his voice actor from the Star Wars Rebels animated show, Lars Mikkelsen, portraying this character into live action as well. The rest of the article goes out by reading that with only 2 episodes left and currently running The Mandalorian Season 3, time is running out for a full-on Thrawn arc to actually occur, with having him come in, play an actual role and everything like that. However, it does seem that maybe a presence or an introduction I think would be fair. Maybe his first actual live action appearance is something that we could see in the finale for sure, or even at the end of this episode. It also does seem as though his presence at least is going to play heavily into these final 2 Mandalorian episodes, and going forward of course in the Mandoverse with the Ahsoka show there as well. It has been unclear who exactly Giancarlo Esposito's Moff Gideon character is exactly working for and what his end goal has been, but now that picture has just been a bit more clearer from this leaked description itself, is that he wants all the power, he wants it all for himself, and he wants that role, that leadership that Thrawn does have. Essentially, it seems that Thrawn sees himself as the heir to the Empire, referencing back to the novels, and has a master plan to continue his work for Emperor Palpatine himself, having worked closely with him throughout the original trilogy and Star Wars Rebels as well. Surely, this Episode 7 opening is just the first seeds being laid for an epic showdown with Grand Admiral Thrawn himself, potentially on the big screen as part of the newly announced Mandoverse crossover film, being directed and written by Dave Filoni himself. And so luckily, fans who were not in attendance at Star Wars Celebration will not have to wait much longer to see what this has shown as the event as Chapter 23, Episode 7 of The Mandalorian, as it's coming out tonight at the time of recording this video. I am beyond pumped for the next episode of The Mandalorian. As I had mentioned earlier on in this video, just reading this overall description itself just gets me so pumped up. Of course, I'll have my initial thoughts and reaction video out later in the night or in the early morning there for this episode. So stay on the lookout for that by hitting the subscribe button and that notification bell as well to be notified for when that video comes out. We're also talking about and discussing all types of Star Wars related news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdowns here on the channel as well. And I'll also have a full breakdown video for the next episode of The Mandalorian into the regards of all the different Easter eggs, things that you might have missed throughout that episode. So of course, stay subscribed and hit that notification bell to be notified for when that video is coming out there as well. Guys, I want to know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys are all hoping to see in the next episode of The Mandalorian and how the rest of this overall season's going to play out here as well. I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions, your fan theories in the comment section down below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. That will be my reaction video. Have a great one, guys. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out. So the previous episode of The Mandalorian, Season 3, Episode 7, featured Axe Wolves and the rest of the Mandalorians that had been working previously before with Bo-Katan. That episode was titled Guns for Hire. And so as we see, what these Mandalorians are doing is that they're pretty much just bounty hunters, looking for whoever will pay them and do jobs for them. And so my theory is that I believe that these are the same Mandalorians that broke Moff Gideon out of the New Republic, as they seem to be kind of just doing jobs for anybody that was willing to pay enough for them. But that's just a Star Wars theory, and we'll see more about this in the final 2 episodes of The Mandalorian.